How you doing, guys? It's Sam Spencer here, and I work with a lot of new investors, a lot of new property investors, and I get a lot of questions about how can I start a buy-to-let property business. So I'm going to give you some considerations today in getting started, things you should think about, but this should help you in your new property business. So typically the people that I work with, they normally want one of two things. Either they want to increase their monthly cash flow, therefore upgrade their lifestyle, or they want a nest egg for the future. Now, if we just look at the first one initially, increasing their monthly cash flow, this is normally to cover their outgoings, therefore they can have a better standard of life. So what I always advise to start with is you've got to consider your financial starting point. You've got to consider where you're at, and you'd be really surprised the amount of people that don't really know what their outgoings are. They have standing orders and direct debits that they didn't even know that they had. So normally what I say to them is go on your bank website, online, wherever, and download 3 months bank statements and look through that and calculate all of your outgoings, including them direct debits and standing orders you didn't have. Calculate all of your outgoings, and that's typically your starting position. So if you want to improve your lifestyle, obviously you want to try and cover more and more of your bills. So once you have that figure in mind of your outgoings, you know how much you need to be making from property to cover them and increase the level of lifestyle that you want to live. From here, what I would do, because I'm quite a visual person, this may or may not be the right thing for you. Once I know my starting position is and I know where my outgoings are, I would then make some sort of visual chart or graph with that outgoings at the top and zero at the bottom. And every time I made some money from property or outside of my main income, whether that be PAYE, your job or whatever, I would then put some sort of visual representation, shade a block in, put an arrow, put a line, whatever, to show me getting closer to that point of covering my outgoings. And that visually for me is really useful. So you might do that on a whiteboard, for example. You might put whatever it is at the top, naught at the bottom, and then just tick off when you're getting closer and closer to that. And it makes it a lot more real, because sometimes, when you're getting additional income in, we just go and spend it because you live to your means. So that visual representation can be really powerful. My second consideration or point is you need to have a foundational understanding of property. You need to have a basic level of education, all right? Now, people ask me, where would I start? There's so much out there. Well, typically I say, start with the free stuff. There's so many fantastic books out there. There's so many great podcasts, some of which I've been on. I won't plug them on here. And there's some great YouTube channels as well that really help you just to get a foundational understanding of property, so you can then ask the right questions moving forward. I would start with the free stuff and get as much as you can from that. Obviously you can go on paid courses, but typically the people that I work with don't want to get involved in property. They don't want another full-time job, therefore they don't need to know everything to the nth degree. That's what I'm there for, to help them. But it's good for them just to have a foundational understanding of what we're talking about so we can have a conversation. Okay, now education for me, it is important, you're going into a new avenue, a new venture. I used to be a physiotherapist by background a few years ago, and that was I did a 5-year degree. I came out of university and I was still hopeless as a physio. And any job you go into, any career that you have, there's a level of training. So I think it's important that you have just that foundational level so you can ask the right questions and you've got an understanding of what's going on. Consideration number 3 is you want to decide and be absolutely laser focused on the property model that you want to adopt. So there's lots of different avenues you can go down, whether that be typical buy-to-lets for families, HMOs, which are houses of multiple occupancy. You've got serviced accommodation, commercial, land, developments. There's lots and lots of different things, okay? Now my advice as a newer investor would be to start small, learn, and then scale it up as and when the time is right for the right reason. So I love family lets. I love single lets, and the reason for that is, they're our bread and butter. There's people that need to rent, and there's poor rental accommodation out there. So we're really serving a need in the community. There's a housing shortage, therefore it's in high demand, and it's going to be less subject to legislatory changes moving forward. So I love single lets. That's where I would start, but you've got to decide what you want to do. Be laser focused on that, because what happens is people maybe do a little bit of learning, a bit of training, and then they see all these different shiny pennies and they have this scattergun approach and they do a bit of everything. So they never master one thing. So that's my advice. Pick one thing, be laser focused on it. The next thing is you need to decide on the location about where you want to invest. I've done previous videos on location, whether you should invest locally to you or at a distance. So have a little look back, see if you can see it. But my opinion is, it doesn't matter where you invest, all right? The key thing is you find somebody who you trust implicitly on the ground. As I said, the majority of people that I work with, they want to be hands-free, they don't want to be involved, they've got busy lifestyles, busy jobs, busy family lives. So if it's going to be hands-free and managed for them, it could be on the moon for all they care, all right? It's just really important that you find somebody who you trust on the ground who's going to deal with challenges if and when they arise. The last thing you want to do is be getting in the car and having to sort them yourself, all right? So choose your location, be laser focused on that location. And again, don't adopt a scattergun approach that you've got a property in Liverpool, one in London, one in Bournemouth, one in Newcastle. Be focused on one area. The next thing is you need to build that team around you, and one of the most important people in that team is the finance broker. Now, it's important that early on, when you start investing in property, you have a conversation with 1, 2, maybe 3 finance brokers, so they can understand your position, understand your outgoings, your income, and look at what levels of finance are available to you, what different types of finance that suit which different investment model you're trying to implement, but also they discuss with you the rates that are available. But more than anything, you're starting to build that relationship. They're starting to get a picture of what you're looking to achieve, and the more they know, the better they can advise you on the most appropriate financial product for you. They can set up that file for you, so when the time is right, you do pull the trigger on that first property investment, they are there to provide the finance. You've got that relationship, you can pick up the phone to them. The next thing is, people say to me, Sam, how do I find these good deals? Well, what's the definition of a good deal? My definition of a good deal may be very, very different to your definition of a good deal. I think it's all relative to your upbringing, your belief system, your current position, if you invest or not. There's lots of different variables that all come together to define what that good deal is for you. But you need to understand, whatever that definition is, how to find them properties. And that's where your team comes into place. It's about building them genuine relationships with estate agents, with property deal packages, property investment packages, who can help you understand that, who can maybe have access to stuff that you wouldn't normally see that may be off market. It's about importance of building that team, building them genuine relationships, having conversations with these people and starting to build that team around you. So my last consideration about starting a buy-to-let property company is, and probably the most important thing you're going to hear today, just go and do something. Just go and do something. Do anything. Go on some viewings. Go and meet some people. Start to build that relationship. I speak to a lot of new investors, and they've been thinking about doing something for 6 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years, some even longer than that. My advice is go and do something. Start going on viewing, start meeting people, start building them relationships, start understanding what a good deal is for you. Stop waiting for the perfect investments that probably don't exist. Maybe once a year, once every couple of years, and looking for these conceptual, amazing returns on paper. Go and do something and start getting some amazing returns on your money and start improving your lifestyle. So there's my considerations when you're starting a new buy-to-let investment company. I don't even know how many I've gone through there, but you really want to think about these things before you start investing or as you're investing. So I hope that really helps. Any questions you've got, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you get from 0 to 1 or maybe 1 to 2 investment properties. Really, really exciting. Drop me a message and I'll speak to you soon.